It's the first ever Yay or Nay edition of the Outdated Wrestling Hour. I can think of one. Yay! My Aunt Beulah's hot minestrone soup. Nay! Bob! It's the Outdated Wrestling Hour. Now available in mono. No soup for you. Hey everybody, it's Bob Smith and welcome back to the Outdated Wrestling Hour. I am your genial host. You may remember me from my days with Pro Wrestling Illustrated, which feel like they're 50 years ago, mainly because they're 50 years ago. Before we get started in earnest on this episode, I am going to do sort of a review, maybe a post-mortem on the NWA. In 2000, 2001, thereabouts, nobody was a bigger fan than I was of Billy Corgan's NWA. He had purchased the National Wrestling Alliance name and was running shows on YouTube that were so far better than anybody had any right to expect. It was crazy. Joe Galli was your host with Jim Cornette doing color. A vast array of, talent. Tim Storm, Nick Aldis, Eli Drake, who you now know as LA Knight, Aaron Stevens, who you used to know as Damian Sandow, James Storm, Cowboy James Storm, Mr. Anderson, the Rock and Roll Express, which you now and again, the Rock and Roll Express. In fact, they won the NWA Tag Team Championship at the end of the run of the first series, I believe. There was a lot of talent. Thunder Rosa, Melina, Camille, young talent. You know, everything looked so promising, and it really did have that old 605 flavor. It was modern, yet it looked back. Tom Latimer, you know, the talent, you could just keep going. It was something I didn't want to miss week after week. I hadn't felt that way about a wrestling TV program in decades. I really mean it. It was good. It was darn good. So a couple of episodes where we were talking about the withering demise of Billy Corgan's NWA. It's what's been going on lately. First, they lost the entire CW thing. As if you were watching in the first place, I know. They were on the CW app after claiming he had signed a contract with a top 30 TV network, right? So now they're reduced to showing their Power show. You know, the one that used to be really good on YouTube, on X, the former Twitter. So now we have a pale imitation of the actual NWA on X, which is a pale imitation of Twitter in the first place. Makes perfect sense. So I said, you know what? I'm going to look at this new show, this new program. It was just a couple weeks ago on X. It was NWA Power, just as always. I looked at the count and saw that more than 51,000 people had watched this particular show at the 4-day mark after it was first shown. I didn't think that was bad, so I clicked the button and on came the show. They showed a bunch of arenas before an old school-looking opener that they had with the frame sliding on and off the screen. Old school on purpose, obviously. They showed a bunch of arenas, including the 2300 in Philly, like they were MSG or something, but this is what they're down to. So the show began in earnest with a couple heels standing in the ring on one side and a little person wrestler on the other side. In between with a microphone was the show's Danny Deals, frizzle-haired guy with a clown suit. So let's consider. The NWA Power show began with the immortal Jim Cornette doing color, and then we have someone with a clown suit and a huge mob hair called Danny Deals doing interviews in the ring. Check. Billy Corgan and Joe Galli are at the announce table. So next, Deals, I can't believe I'm saying this. Deals introduced the guys in the ring. On the left are an apparent manager and a very short wrestler named Rolando, who apparently is also a wrestler. Standing next to him is a bigger version of Jake Hager, complete with collegiate wrestling garb on. I guess he manages the big guy, but I don't know who he is. They never mentioned his name. We find out that the little guy wrestler's name is Eric Smalls, and he's standing across the ring. Deals notes that Smalls has lost a Family Jewels ladder match to Rolando recently. Rolando's a kind of shrimpy guy himself. Because he won it, it gave Rolando the right to smash Smalls in the, quote, Family Jewels. That's how they put it. So this is the lead segment to a pro wrestling TV show. One guy is going to punch another guy in the nuts while the person being punched is just going to stand there. Seriously. So Rolando is happy when Smalls admits he lost and will allow Rolando to punch him low. Rolando claims he's been waiting for this moment, quote, all his life. Rolando claims Smalls will never have kids again. Rolando will never work in even a larger indie. His delivery is so bad and so stilted and phony, he makes 1981 Bob Backlund sound like 1979 Ric Flair. There's nothing believable about any of this. So anyway, Rolando rants a bit, and after a bunch of false starts, Rolando punches Smalls low, then claims he broke his hand. Big guy in the amateur garb just does nothing, stands there like Moose from Archie Comics, right? I guess his name is Slade or something. I'm not bothering to look it up. So after this happens, and, Orlando's wincing in pain, Smalls takes out a cup that he wore under his tights. So now we're supposed to believe that an athletic cup can break someone's hand. Just then, for some reason, Aaron Stevens used to be great as Damian Sandow in the WWF. We all liked him there, right? And his tag team, Blunt Force Trauma, stormed the ring. Stevens is a manager now for... The team attacks Smalls, kicking him repeatedly, and then they hold him. So Stevens can punch him in the balls twice. Then Smalls gets slammed to the mat. Then Stevens stomps at his nether regions for good measure. This was the opener to a wrestling show. Played to a smattering of slight booing. I remember an NWA opener pitting Bobby Eaton against Brian Pillman. Good heavens. It's time for Corgan to give it up. What followed was a bunch of never was's and never will be's, both female and male. Later we see EC3 and Tom Latimer. If this is the best work they can find, I truly feel sorry for them. At least they're seasoned pro wrestlers. Paul Burchell's on this show too. A women's world championship, my fingers in the air. The world championship match was indecipherable. There was a country music video featuring people, including wrestlers nobody's ever heard of. The Kanaza Brothers Bluegrass Experience, right at the Bad Bunny, right? I mean, popular stuff. If you're a first-time viewer, there's no way any of this made a smidgen of sense. None of it. None of it from the beginning moments. There's a segment shot in San Antonio as they allowed some tiny federation the privilege of joining the NWA or something. And as far as I could hear, they didn't even mention the name of the federation. I may have missed it, but so did everybody else in America. Rodney Mack and Jazz are there, and they're calling it NWA Texas, brought to you by Dog Pound Championship Wrestling. Now, Joe Galley's in the ring, and he bellows this with a straight face, mind you. The NWA has, bar none, the best women's division in the sport of professional wrestling. That's what he said. Here's a contest to Outdated Wrestling Hour listeners. Name two of them. Name one of them. There was more, but I shut it down. This is the most incomprehensible mess. There's no charisma. There's nothing resembling a wrestling star except perhaps Latimer. There's nothing else. It looks like what it probably is. Anyone who wanders in with tights and boots gets to work. When the NWA debuted this version of it, it was amazing. It was a dream come true for veteran fans. I praised the NWA and Corbin on this show when his podcast first started. I thought it was growing pains after a while. Now the entire project seems to be Corbin-based. Millions of people pay to see Corbin with his band, the Smashing Pumpkins. But nobody's paying to see you at ringside, Mr. C. I rooted so hard for you, man. But from punching little people in the balls to the opener to cocaine spots on pay-per-views that nobody buys in the first place, to having the unmitigated gall to expect Danny Deals to do color following the tenures of Cornette and Velvet Sky and Tim Storm. it's clear that the entire NWA is just replacements of replacements of replacements. Small wonder that the CW replaced you. Well, there's my rant. And the rest of the show's going to be wacky because we're going to do yay or nay with a couple of our favorite people. William Savage and Anthony Pires are back. Now, last time they were here, they did that hilarious trivia quiz. This time, it's just we're going to talk about whether you like something or you didn't like something. I got a whole list of stuff to go over with them. So hang loose. Get yourself a hot toddy. Get yourself a ice cold beverage. William Demarest would put it, a tasty snack. And we will be back in just a couple minutes. Enough of the complaining. Let's have some fun with yay or nay. And I want you to play along too. Think about your answers to all these yay or nay questions as we move along here. We'll be back after this important, really important announcement about the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. You ever heard of it? Well, you should. No, seriously. Check it out. Time for our look at the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, of which this podcast is a member of. It all starts with the Wrestling Memory Grenade with Ray Russell. Join him as he analyzes and discusses years of wrestling history from your favorite promotions. From Hulkamania to Multimania, from the Midnight Express to the Lex Express. They're going to travel back to all different promotions and timelines. You won't want to miss a single episode of the Wrestling Memory Grenade. The regional wrestling podcast, also hosted by Ray Russell, is 100% territory-based, dedicated to all those great promotions from the past, along with a slew of guest co-hosts. All kinds of topics, including event results, special interviews, yearly breakdowns, obscure outlaw promotions, and a whole lot more. That's the regional wrestling podcast. One of the great wrestlers of the 1970s, Bob Roop, now has his own podcast. It's the Wrestling Stoop with Bob Roop. He welcomes you to the show as he shares stories, historical moments, and memories from his 20-plus year career as a wrestler and booker, inside all facets of professional wrestling, including his very strange stint in Florida. DG's Puro Wrestling Academy. You can travel back in time to discuss the history of pro wrestling in Japan. For all of you out there, it is a history lesson in every episode. You'll never hear anything quite like DG's Puro Wrestling Academy. Join your host, Dan, as he travels back in time to discuss the history of Japanese pro wrestling. He spent decades studying the world of Japanese wrestling, and now he offers up his historian-level knowledge to all of you out there. If you want to know about Japanese wrestling, this is the podcast for you. The great Gene Jackson hosts the Retro Wrestling Review. He brings a variety of co-hosts and wrestling legends to the programs. He goes back in time to rewatch and review pro wrestling from years gone by. You get a breakdown, hear never-before-heard stories, and you can watch along, so you can enjoy the Retro Wrestling Review. It started out as Dangerous Conversations with Doug Gilbert. Now it's Dangerous Conversations with Doug Gilbert and Tommy Rich. They're up to almost 18 episodes now of two of the greatest wrestlers from the South ever to lace up a pair of boots. From the USWA to the NWA, you won't want to miss a single episode of Dangerous Conversations with Doug Gilbert and Tommy Rich. One of the longest lasting podcasts in podcast history is Wrestling Nostalgia with Dave Dynasty. Tons of guests, tons of history, a host who knows everything about the World Wrestling Association, and a whole lot more. You'll see new stars, old stars, stars in between. You hear them all on Wrestling Nostalgia. It was the WWF versus WCW, Raw versus Nitro, and it's the Monday Night Raw. That's right. Monday Warfare Raw vs. Nitro is a podcast that has 30 episodes. You won't miss any of them. If you remember those days, it was neck and neck as the two giants battled for TV supremacy. Check out Monday Warfare Raw vs. Nitro. The Other Ship Podcast is a pop culture podcast with a pro wrestling lean. Join a rotating group of co-hosts as they talk movies, sports, TV, music, food, and of course, pro wrestling. They take on various topics in roundtable discussions, special guest interviews, and other new concepts you may not have heard on any other podcast. As they themselves say, laugh your ass off on the voyage aboard the Other Ship. The Captain's Corner Pod features old school wrestling interviews and discussions, plus all the latest going on in the world of the Captain's adventures. Don't miss Nick on the Captain's Corner Pod. Also on the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, TR Shocks the World, the Glory Days GrappleCon Cast, WCNN News, TR Shocks the World, and the Power Hour. And there's probably a lot more podcasts to come on one of the biggest wrestling podcast networks you will find. It's the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. How do you find all these great shows? Here's an easy way to start. Just log on to WrestleCopia.com, press a couple of buttons, and get on that journey into wrestling past, present, and future. As we sit down to record this excellent podcast, I have been up since 3 o'clock in the morning. It is now 7 p.m. at night, and I am tongue-tied, I am groggy, but I'm going to forge ahead, damn it, because I got two of my favorite people on my podcast once again. And we're going to play yay or nay. What does it mean? Nothing. We're going to ask these guys whether they like stuff or dislike it, and we're going to kibitz. If you don't know what kibitzing in, you were in the wrong spot. Anyway, first of all, it's Anthony Pires. How are you?
Hey, how are you? Bob Smith, it's great to be here again. I apologize. We were supposed to do this about a month ago, but circumstances being what they were in my life, couldn't make it. It's awesome seeing you. Not so much Liam, but whatever.
Oh, geez, these two go to. Let's let Liam Savage from Canada respond to such insulation.
I mean, I would take it as an insult, but the area that he lives in, that's insulting enough. So I figured,
listen,
it's okay.
Listen, Bob, I'm looking at my screen right now. It says Liam the Trivia King. I got to ask you both a question. When he and I squared off one-on-one battle to death in wrestling trivia, who won?
False. See, that was me. I won. No, I didn't win. I didn't win. But, this is the overall scope. I'm the Trivia King in general, just in life. Okay. So I it doesn't have to be wrestling. It could be anything, Anthony, okay. and I'll beat you. It's fine. Yeah, it's allowed.
Well, anyway, I'm really happy to have you both here. We've had some excellent shows with you, both either singularly or together on the past. And today I'm just going to ask you all, this is a concept I came up with. First, I just debated whether to do another trivia contest. And the things got so vicious and mean at the end of the last one. I figured let's put that on the bed, and let's get either happy or acerbic as I read a list of stuff to you guys. And I'm going to say yay or nay, guys. I'm going to name a thing or a moment or something and say yay or nay, and you can each. We'll go Anthony first, Liam second, because you're left to right on my screen. Boy, I got to tell you folks, listen, I have never been this tired doing a podcast. I could doze off in the middle of this. These guys are going to have to yell at me to get me off the floor.
Liam and I could just talk for at least the next hour.
There you go. I'll hold the show over to you while I take a cat nap here.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right, let's get started. You ready?
Absolutely.
Now, Anthony, you do an amazing Joe McHugh imitation.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Outdated Wrestling Hour presented by Bob Smith. Liam the Trivia King and Anthony Pires will be competing today in the Yay or Nay podcast idea that you have. And my name is Joe McHugh.
Very, very good. Everybody over the age of 70 is giving you a sitting ovation. So
a sitting ovation.
All right. Okay. Now, have you heard Joe McHugh, Liam?
Oh yeah.
Have you seen the old tape? Okay. Yay or nay? Yay or nay?
Kind of in the middle. I didn't grow up with him, so it's a little, it's a little over the top, but I can appreciate it.
You sure? How about you, Liam? Liam, you're obviously a fan of Joe, like I was.
Oh, amazing! And
Anthony. I mean, you have to be a fan to know an imitation like that. I mean, come on.
Joe was the ring announcer of my life. I know I love Howard Finkel, but Joe McHugh was the guy that introduced me to wrestling.
Me too. It's who I grew up with, and one of my great honors was interviewing him on IWCCW television. Nobody had ever interviewed him before. Mario Savoldi walks up and he says, I want you to interview Joe. I said, Joe who? Joe Savoldi? He goes, no, over there, Joe McHugh. He's never been interviewed by anybody. I said, are you kidding me? He's worked for 50 years and nobody. So we did a little 10-minute TV spot, and I'm very proud of that. And I know I don't have a copy of it, and I wish I did. But while I was at that event, I took some pictures of Joe. And when he died, his family called me at PWI, and I was proud to supply his funeral some pictures of him that they used. They needed his photos. They didn't have a whole lot, and I gave them everything I had. I was happy to do it. So
he was my first ring announcer, and I just love him so much.
I listen. I love the old school guys with the ill-fitting suits, like Friendly Bob Freed preceded him at Madison Square Garden in Boston, and I just found out that Friendly Bob Freed was a stage name. His real name was Morris Feinberg, or Morris Friedberg. Excuse me, Morris Friedberg. But he became Friendly Bob Freed. He would mispronounce my name. I mean, he was the worst. Dominic Dosha, don't even. I mean, he was awful. So
Bob
I would say, yes, Bob Smythe. I would say yay to Bob Freed because he was so awful.
From Boston, Providence, and Springfield, Frank Klosnowski was my third guy in the ring announcer thing, in the ring announcer Mount Rushmore. He was a local guy. I don't know what he did, but he was all the New England shows. Frank Klosnowski. If you want to go to YouTube, look up Randy Savage's victory over Tito Santana for the Intercontinental title. You'll hear Frank give the.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Liam, do you have a favorite ring announcer?
I'm going to be kind of unoriginal and say Howard Finkel.
That's a great choice.
Well, yeah,
he's the GOAT.
Yeah, he was incredible, but it seems like a little typical, but he was different. He everybody would say, "Oh, the new whatever champion," and just the way he would announce everybody, it seemed like there was some real importance with how he addressed everybody, even if it was a lowly enhancement talent. There was always some very high importance that he would give to that person. I was watching an old Raw with my friend last night, and the just incredible, but it was Aldo Montoya, the Portuguese man of war, and just thinking, it's Aldo Montoya. What do but
as
he put importance on everybody.
As a Portuguese man, I took offense to that.
Yeah, you know what I liked about Howard? The two things. Number one, as a Madison Square Garden person, before the last match of the show, he would announce the next card, and everybody loved that.
Yep.
Yeah, and Bruno will take on. You didn't know until Howard, and then tickets are now on sale. They were trying to get you to go up front and buy tickets at the same time. You know what else? You know what else he did too on television, in the syndicated shows in the Albany area, at least where I lived. He used to do. If you ever notice when you watch WWE on Peacock now, they have the old Championship Wrestling and All-Star Wrestling shows. You notice at the beginning of every match, there's like silence for 2 minutes. That's because that was the spot where they used to do local promos for upcoming cards, and Howard used to do them. A fantastic wrestling card is coming to the Jabba Mosque in New Jersey. Where, and he, with S.D. Jones will be there. Tony Altimore. Whoever it was, and I used to love that too. So, why do I love this stuff? I just do.
What I loved was Howard would do the card. He'd walk away and then stop himself. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot something. Oh, I forgot to mention the main event will be Bruno Sammartino versus Larry Zbyszko, and the place would lose their effing minds.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the great part was in MSG they'd have the microphone stand that would come down from the ceiling.
Yeah, that's right.
I loved that. I loved that. And you didn't see it anywhere else but in MSG, but I loved that.
That was the first WrestleMania.
Yeah.
It came down from the ceiling.
Mm-hmm. That's right. All right, let's keep on ring announcing. Gary Michael Capetta, yay or nay?
Nay.
Yeah, I don't like to say that, but yeah, nay.
I'm going to give him a yay because he grew on me when he left the WWE and went to the NWA for a while. And I think he the more he did it, the better he got. I think a lot of people, I remember him distinctly getting booed on those syndicated shows. And the reason that he got booed was because he wasn't Joe McHugh.
I think it was his nasally voice.
There you go. There you go.
Hi, I'm Gary Michael Capetta, and this is Championship Wrestling. I loved it when George the Animal would chase him away.
Those were great. That was a great shtick they had going on there.
Bob and Liam, I never liked him.
I was never a big fan, just like you said, Anthony, the nasally. And from Toronto, Liam Savage. You know, I mean, he got the point across, and you got to give him credit. He was in WWF, NWA, AWA.
Mm-hmm.
He was
Plenty
in
of
all
indies too.
Yeah, and all the major promotions at the time, and you know,
Yeah.
And I've heard interviews with him for a long time. He's a great guy to talk to. I just
right.
that nasally voice just didn't do it for me at all.
All
Yeah.
right. So let's go to the present time. The recently retired Samantha Irvin. Yay or nay?
Nay times 1,000.
Yay for when she was in wrestling, nay for what the hell she's doing now.
I give her a nay for the whole damn thing. You know what?
Terrible.
There is this new breed of people who enter professional wrestling as a conduit to becoming famous as opposed to doing wrestling.
Totally.
And I can name a few names. I won't do that. I get the vibe that's her deal.
I don't know who did Survivor Series the other night, but she was amazing, which tells me that Samantha Irvin is completely replaceable. I don't know who she is. I don't know her name, but she was great on Saturday. And I don't like the way she's acting. What's that?
Alicia Taylor, I believe her name is.
She's just as good. She's just as good, if not better. So,
well, here's the thing for me is that, and Alicia Taylor is like kind of seems like a lower grade version of Samantha Irvin. So I can get behind her a bit more. But Samantha Irvin, it just seemed like the effort was there, absolutely, but way too over the top. Just it's almost like just I don't know, like getting yourself over at the expense of everybody else. That's why she got so popular, and you know it was just so over the top. Like her voice was. I can't believe she still had a voice by the end of the card.
To me, she was just too cinematic. You know, it's a sport, or it's supposed to be quasi sport. Act like a sports announcer. Gosh.
Yes.
But you know what? If
I'm
you
okay
go to
with I was okay with her passion.
But
yeah.
Nah, I don't need it.
I'm fine with the passion. I just don't like the delivery. That's all.
But she was acting out the Judgment Day. You know, everything was their own.
Do you guys watch UFC?
Not like I used to. I haven't got time to watch it.
She was channeling Bruce Buffer, who I love. As the night, as any UFC fan will say, as the night goes on, Bruce Buffer gets better. That's how I felt about Samantha Irvin.
Okay.
When she was in the company, her behavior after leaving, abhorrent. And her husband's abhorrent as well.
I don't know. She's just to summarize. I think, like I said, like you were saying, the passion was there and delivery and all that, but it's just it was way too over the top, and I felt like she took over a lot of the spotlight from other talent. You know,
here's the deal with today's wrestling. I'm such an old coot. Get on with it. Get on with it. I mean, the announcements take 40 minutes. It's 20 minutes to walk to the ring. There's explosions. Everybody poses to whatever their explosion is behind them. You know, get in there.
Yeah,
it's the sizzle, not the steak. Let's wrestle.
Right. I agree.
You know, it's unnecessary. We hear now fans are trained to all that, and that's why tickets are $1,000 for the second row at the Garden now, because somebody's got to pay for all that pyro.
Right.
Are you guys generally watching AEW shows?
No.
I look at them with one eye.
Okay. I watch everything. We've moved from Samantha Irvin to pay-per-view quality.
Mm-hmm.
The problem I have when you talk about fireworks and pyro is the fact that AEW does not let you take a breath.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And WWE does. So you were talking about the video.
Oh, you know something? I don't agree with you. I think that watching a 2-hour Raw is ear jarring. Everything, the announcers are hyped, the music is loud, the explosions are big. There's never any subtlety to anything anymore. Everything is big, 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 big. Yes. And you know what? Can somebody do a side headlock for a second, please? Seriously. You know, I know I'm an old fashioned. I insisted this on a previous podcast. If somebody did a 60-minute Broadway now, the whole wrestling world would collapse to its knees.
I totally agree.
Right?
Totally.
It would be so unoriginal. It would be original.
Well, that's the problem, is that the fans nowadays are conditioned.
They're conditioned
They're conditioned to go, and that's why I'm a little surprised that Gunter is as over, I guess, to use the term, as he is, because he is very old school in the way he presents himself and his wrestling. But if you took him and put him in an hour Broadway, I think you would get the fans eventually, but it would take them a while, and they'd be thinking, well, it's been a half an hour. What's going on? And then you go another half hour. I don't know. And I haven't seen an Iron Man match or a Broadway go that long or that well since probably Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels.
Oh my God! Don't get me started on that match. Do not get me started on that abomination.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
No, Liam, I'm going to give you this.
Yes,
Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 12. If they had not advertised it as a Iron Man 60-minute,
right,
would have been fine.
Yes.
The fact was, we knew going in they were keeping score.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
After 15 minutes, you and I and Bob all knew they were going 0-0.
Yeah.
To overtime.
Yeah.
We knew Shawn Michaels was winning, and we knew it was going to go 0-0 to overtime.
Well,
because they just didn't. They wanted to do a classic wrestling match. I'll tell you what. If they had just said, "Hey, this match will be 1 fall, 1 hour time limit," that's a good match.
Sure.
But the fact that we are waiting for them to do pinfall submissions, we want a 2-2 or 3-3 tie at the end of the show, at the end of the match. They didn't give it to us.
Well, that is the problem with announcing. Okay, well, it will be an Iron Man match. It will go an hour. The problem with that is, and I've heard people make this connection before, is that when you do that, the fans will think, well, you know what? If I go to the bathroom or go make a sandwich or something during the first third of this match,
right,
whatever,
right,
and because it won't matter, because it's like, okay, you're already going the hour. Why am I going to sit through the entire hour? Now, if I'm a fan of both, like I was, and I sat through the whole thing, it was great. But you know, it's just the whole conditioning of it.
You make a really good point there, because if you ever notice, they never announce times on matches anymore.
They
never say this is a 20-minute time limit. This will be a fight to the finish. They never even say any of those things. Except for the
exploding ring match. That was
that's a whole different ball.
That was excellent. I loved that so much.
All right, let's keep talking about wrestling psychology and old timer stuff here. Time limit draws, yay or nay?
Yay.
Yay if it's done right.
But I'm from the era where you'd go to a wrestling show in the 70s and they would have Rocky Tamayo against Frankie Williams, and it would be a 20-minute draw of just two guys kind of fumbling around the ring. They were just doing it to fill time. And I would say nay to that usage. But yay, there's been some really, really good draws that I've seen, even on television, between two evenly matched people. And if it's a good match, I don't care who wins. I saw a good match. So I say yay overall.
Being Liam, let me take the lead on this one. Liam, being, in the old days.
Yes.
When I would go to the Providence Civic Center in Rhode Island, the first match was almost always a 20-minute draw.
Right.
I was so enthralled. I was so excited to just see wrestling. That first match, Johnny Rods versus Pete Doherty.
That's right.
And we would see it. So I loved it because I just want to see wrestling at that point in my life. So 20-minute draws.
Yeah.
I'm all about it. Liam, what do you think?
I'm gonna side with you both on that. If it's done right, like you said, Bob, it's like, okay, 20 minutes, but they've barely done anything, and then it's the bell rings. Okay, you know, like I can live without that.
But the philosophy has changed now, though. You will never see a 20-minute draw anymore in the ring. You're going to have a hot shot first match all the time.
Right.
Because they know that people have scant attention spans, so they figure they better get right into it right from the word go. And you know, and then later on they'll make the card kind of go up and down in terms of the action. Right. But I think now the philosophy is to hot shot the first match.
But Bob, guys like the three of us. I don't know. I can't speak for Liam, but I went to Brooks Drugs and Pharmacy, CVS, every Tuesday to see what Aftermag was going to drop that day, and I could not wait to see what the results were going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my whole world. So a 20-minute draw was like, oh my God, I can't believe these two guys just went tooth and nail.
Mm-hmm.
So in today's wrestling, I get it. A 20-minute draw will be like, oh. But for guys like us, amazing.
Today's wrestling, the neck beards and nose rings. Oh man, where's the creativity, man? I mean, they're burying them. I mean, oh God, it drives me crazy. Oh, Facebook wrestling on Facebook is driving me ape shit.
Yep.
To the bejesus belt. I am telling you, it's making me nuts.
Right.
Reading these comments over the most innocuous things, and they get in these giant rows over nothing at all. Liam, I've seen you chime in on these things. It's insanity what goes on Facebook.
Yeah, there's a certain top podcaster out there that has a Facebook group. Won't name any names, but I think you'd probably draw conclusions that
Jim Cornette.
I won't say yay or nay, but the whole I don't know, the whole culture of discussion groups on Facebook about wrestling. Everybody can have an opinion, and you can say AEW is the best, and I'll be like, okay, that's fine. Different strokes for different folks, as they say. But my whole thing is that when you have a group like that, and people constantly are just trying to find the worst in everything. Did you look at the Dynamite rating? Ha ha ha! And I'm thinking, that's not funny because it's the product in general. Do not come down on it like, the demise of this is going to be great. Now, I'm not an AEW fan. I don't think it was great from the start because I could already see what was happening. You let the inmates run the asylum. This is what happens. It starts to go down to where it is now. However, I'm not in the position to think that ratings matter to me. They don't. They shouldn't matter to anybody but the people putting on the show. Mm-hmm. Secondly, why is it something to celebrate if it's a bad rating? It's not going to do any better for the industry. When we were in the Monday Night Wars era, and they were popping all these crazy numbers, that just made everything that much better because there was conflict between the two promotions, and it would bring out the better in each of them, and all that, great. Now, when everything started going down and everybody starts making fun of the ratings, it's like, why would you make fun of that? It's not helping the cause.
You know what? Let me play devil's advocate on that point.
Sure.
I think people are making fun of it because Tony Khan is like Kevin Bacon in Animal House. All is well. Yeah. All is well. We're number one. It's Tony Khan's fault because if he wasn't so braggadocio when he's obviously, hitting nothing but foul balls. I mean, that's I think what people are getting on in their own sub-mental kind of way, I guess.
Yeah, and you can criticize that and try to make them do better, which I totally understand because I had to stop watching AEW because it's just I'm not going to waste my time with something that I think might pay off later, but then it never usually does. If anybody wants to watch that, I'm fine with it. I don't care. That's cool. But for me, it's a waste of my time. And I can understand where, the ratings are getting bad. That's a reflection on how their product is doing. I can understand that. But I'm not the type to celebrate and say like, oh, that's great that they're bombing. Oh, yeah, keep that going. Get even lower next week. Why would I do that? What is the point of that? It's just stupid.
I think a lot of their content offends some people too.
Sure.
In terms of how freaking hokey it is. I mean, it's like, they have some great athletes there, like Will Ospreay, whatever his name is. And there's talent there, but you don't get to see it because here's the thing they always do. And, we're way off topic here, but here's the thing they always do. They bring somebody on with trumpets and horns. Hey, AEW is wherever you see the poster, and they'll have them posed, and there's the person's name, and they bring them on TV the first time, and they have a big win, and everybody goes ape shit, right? And then in the second week, they're tagging with somebody they've never tagged with before in a meaningless match against two nobodies. Well, and then they drop the ball. Then you don't see the guy for 3 weeks, and then he comes back, and everybody forgot he signed in the first place. They have this really bad habit of bringing people in and going, we don't know what to do with this guy. I'm not sure.
Well, I can put it this way. This is the one thing for me. When I saw that they signed Shelton Benjamin, who is one of the greatest talents of the last 20 years, I don't care what anybody says. He's excellent.
Yep.
And he's still going at a top level. And when I saw he signed, I said, and it's sad that I say this, but how long until he just becomes another one of the guys? And I don't watch. All I've heard is he started with a bang. It's starting to go in the direction that everybody gets. You start to go down a little bit as you go, and you get buried a little bit, and then you're just part of the talent roster. And this guy, he criminally underrated for his whole career, basically, who should have been a world champion, I think. And the fact that he's just another one of the guys now, that really is upsetting to me. And it sounds dramatic, but it is,
So in keeping with the theme of this, I think all three of us would say yay to Shelton Benjamin, right?
Oh, yay.
Incredible.
Absolutely.
Yay, Shelton Benjamin.
Double yay, all caps.
Incredible.
Absolutely.
Exclamation point. Yeah, he's great. He's not good. He's great. He's always been great.
Mm-hmm.
You ever wrestled a bad match? I have not seen it.
No, you never will.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'll say this about Shelton. You know what? Like, guys from WWE move to AEW all the freaking time. Shelton Benjamin is one of the rare talents that WWE fans thought could be a star, but they did not push him as such. So I think he's even a bigger star in AEW because the WWE fans followed him there.
Yeah.
I think the two most confusing misuses of talent in WWE in the last 20 years were him and Damian Sandow, who was over as anybody, and they dropped the ball.
Yes.
I don't know what happened to cause that, but they just released him out of nowhere. And right when he was always hot. People thought he was hilarious. He could work in the ring and generate heat. And the next thing you know, he was gone. I'll never understand that one.
And now it's the NWA.
Yeah, and I think I can tell you the reason for that is that when he was put with The Miz, he was overshadowing him because of how entertaining he was. Yep. And as you probably know, everybody knows, is that when Vince McMahon found a reason to not like somebody or, got a bit of a sour taste, it's game over and it's very hard to change his mind. I have a feeling that happened with him. And like I said, just based on overshadowing The Miz, showing how entertaining he was, he would do the thing at the ringside, doing the same bumps that he was and all that, and shadowing him. A little ridiculous, but it's still entertaining. And due to that fact, I think that, he probably got too popular. And it's like, well, that wasn't the narrative. Let's just put him to the side.
But wait a minute.
I cannot believe I'm agreeing with Liam. I cannot believe.
But here's the thing. The surprise popularity factor has always been a big thing, and WWE has always been smart enough to capitalize on it.
Yeah.
From Becky Lynch to Steve Austin to LA Knight, it doesn't matter who it is. If all of a sudden somebody, the fans take to someone, they usually notice it and exploit it. Yeah. In this case, they kicked him out. I'll never understand it. I'll never get that one. I really won't. And now he's kicking midgets in the balls on NWA.
Stop it! Let me call a timeout right here. I condemn Bob Smith last week for saying. I condemn you, Bob Smith, for saying last week the NWA opening segment was abhorrent, and I'm like, I got to see what happened. I cannot unsee that, Bob.
Yeah, it was the worst opening to a wrestling show I'd rather see some Tennessee thing from 1972 on YouTube than watch what I saw there. It was absolutely
What is Billy Corgan
preposterous. Well, by the way, I go over that at the beginning of this show. You guys didn't hear it, but I did an opening complaining about that. So, hey, let's get back into the silly stuff here and our yay and nay deal. Yay and nay, WWF ice cream bars.
Oh, yay.
Yay.
They were really well made, weren't they?
Oh, my God. Cookie?
No, wait a minute. Wait. First of all, the little character on the front it was never smudged. It didn't look like the person. It was perfectly stamped on there with food coloring. And secondly, you'd bite into it and the thing wouldn't shatter. It would all stay together, making it not only delicious, tasty frozen confection, but you could still see the wrestlers. You continue to eat him or her.
Oh, my God. Liam, go ahead.
Well, Anthony's just dreaming about it right now, thinking, man, I wish I could go back to that time. For me, I live in the lowly country of Canada, second biggest country in the entire world, but we didn't get them.
I might move there soon.
I love Canada too.
But we didn't get them. Now, you got to imagine my sadness when I'm growing up watching, the commercials and looking in the magazines and seeing these, and I'm thinking, oh, that'd be so tasty right now, and I know I'll never get it. And we didn't. We did get things like, they put little WrestleMania 4 stickers inside chip bags, like Hostess chip bags we had, and, collect them all and that stuff. And we had all the cards and all that stuff, but we didn't get the ice cream bars, and they always looked so good. And I remember to say I never had one.
Liam, they were better than you would imagine.
Yeah, they were far right as far as flavor went. They were far better than had any right to be. You figured they would suck. They didn't suck. They were really tasty.
You get them, you bite into it, you get the cookie and you get the ice cream, and then it stayed steady. So every bite you took was a cookie and an ice. Honey, can I have ice cream? Will you please get me some ice cream, please?
Now I'm gonna have to go to the store after this.
We're all going to the convenience store. Yeah.
Oh God, they were great.
Yay or nay, Eric Bischoff in the WWF?
I'd say yay.
Yay, and I have to admit, I will say this: Bischoff is a quasi friend. Okay. I love the guy. He's been a friend of mine for the last couple of years because I am a member of adfreeshows.com. He calls me every so often to see how I'm doing. So I love the guy. But I think him as the GM was great because he was such a jerk. And he would appreciate me saying what a jerk he was.
I want to interview him just to ask him about the Super Ninja Stars he used to sell on the AWA program.
Oh.
Do you remember those?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's how he started. That's
the whole thing was based on the Ninja Star toy.
Yeah.
Listen, Bob, my friend, I will text him later tonight and introduce you two guys.
I have met him. I work for WCW Magazine. He could have cared less.
That's right.
He could have cared less. I met him and talked to him for about 5 minutes. He looked right through me as if I was made of porcelain. But it's like. But we were busy. It was right in front of a pay-per-view card, and everybody had their things to do, and I understood. But I did shake his hand once, but I'm sure he doesn't remember it. But
Bischoff and WCW, Bischoff and WWE, total yay for me.
Okay. Even HLA.
Oh my God, yes. And listen, I'm gonna
talk about pushing the envelope on that one. Holy smokes!
I'm a happily married man, so HLA was great for me.
Wait a minute. Hold it. What kind of a statement was that?
Well, I'm just saying.
It was a break from reality for him. Come on.
Yeah. Wow.
I love my wife more than life itself, but a little HLA was, my alley.
All right. Well, so to speak. Anyway, how about yay or nay? WWE matches where a participant leaves the ring just to happen to find a kendo stick under the ring apron.
Nay times a million.
Nay.
Who put it there? How did you know? How did you know it was there? And if you did put it there, why isn't some official saying don't put a kendo stick under the ring? What are you doing?
Okay, if they can trace the story to say, okay, Sandman came in, during the day, he had a bunch in his truck because that's his thing. He took them out. He looked around. Don't see anybody. Throw them under the ring. Okay. Now, give me that story. I'm fine with it. Give me a story of, hey, I bought a bunch of press tables at Home Depot. I'm going to throw them under the ring. I get it. That's fine. Now, give me that. But if you make it so that I'm just having to look under and it's like, oh, I need to use a weapon. Oh, here's a big chain I can just put around my fist. Oh, here's a bag of thumbtacks. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Well, I'll just use these. No, that's stupid.
Yeah, it is.
I'm realistic like that. Yep. You don't need to. You need to be able to trace it back to something. Like, why would it just be here? There should be a reason, and there's no reason.
Yay or nay? Chance of we want tables in 2024?
Nay.
Well,
nay.
In what sense though? Like
just generally, which means people have watched the same spot for 30 years, and it never changes. It's always the same thing.
Let it be organic.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. I understand it was the Dudley's gimmick. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But as much as I was a fan of ECW, I gotta say that they used it to an extent where the fans would start chanting it because I guess they're getting restless. It's like, oh, it's a hardcore match. Well, we want tables. Okay, great. I mean, it doesn't mean anything after a while. And it's kind of fun to watch, I guess, but when it's every other match like it was in ECW, especially near the end, I'm thinking, well, what's the point? Like I already know someone's going to go through it. I don't care.
Here's why I say nay. Because listen, we're all wrestling fans. We love the fact that these guys and women put their bodies on the line for our entertainment.
Absolutely.
And they're having a fine match. But my God, we want tables.
Yeah.
I think today's fan does not understand what wrestling is supposed to be. Which is why, thank goodness, we have places like the Outdated Wrestling Hour to remind us.
Yeah. Preach on, brother.
Oh.
Now, yay or nay, guys getting slammed or dropped on the announce table on every episode of Raw and SmackDown. Yay or nay?
Nay.
Every single show.
Nay.
Is that special anymore?
No.
They sweep the thing. They sweep all the stuff off. There go all the monitors, and here comes some sort of a slam onto the table. You know what? And when is the last time the guy got incapacitated from it? Never. They just jump back in the ring as if nothing had happened. So why do it in the first place?
Do you guys remember when Kevin Nash powerbombed Shawn Michaels through the announce table back in 96?
Yes.
That meant everything. After that, all they're doing is trying to recreate that moment, and 30, God almighty, I'm so old. 30 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what it is, though?
It's old.
You know what it is? It's about making the spots count, and it's like the thing with the tables. If you're not breaking it out every now and then, and it's an old adage, but it's true. If you're not breaking it out every time there's a match, it will mean more in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's like what you said with Shawn Michaels and Diesel. Same thing.
No one will ever top in Memphis at the Mid-South Coliseum, Randy Savage putting Ricky Morton through the table, and nobody had ever seen it before.
Yes.
And fans were calling the police.
Yes.
Why?
Yes.
Nobody ever saw it before. It was something new. It was scary and dangerous as hell.
Yes.
Now it's like they know they're going to get up. You see the difference? The difference in the psychology? It's like, it's just another spot. It's just another normal thing. Also, getting thrown through the barrier next to where the cameras are constantly. We all know it doesn't hurt. He's going to be back in the ring in 5 minutes.
You guys are old enough to remember when Greg Valentine suplexed Pedro Morales on the concrete floor.
I just saw that.
That was Ray Stevens.
How the heck? What are you, psychic? I just watched that on the network a few days ago, and the fans were like, "Oh my God, he killed him!"
Mm-hmm.
They were hot,
and we believe that Pedro Morales was in pain. We believe the Intercontinental Champion could not come back, and go a year later, Jimmy Snuka in the neck brace after Ray Stevens pile drove him twice, not just once, but twice. That meant something.
Right.
Today, they do pile drivers, Canadian destroyers, neck breakers, and they just bounce right back up.
Yeah.
Oh, and the super kick is like a polite greeting. Hi there. Poof. The super kick used to be a finisher, right?
Yes.
Something can be said. Something can be said to the evolution of the business, because people will use the comparison of, well, DDT used to be a finishing move, pile driver used to be a finishing move, super kick used to be a finishing move, and I totally understand that, and I'm not in favor of things being transitions like that now, but the business moves on. We cannot stop that, and things get denigrated. DDT, when I was a kid, if you hit a DDT, the guy's got brain damage or something. That's it. And now it's a transition move, and I have to try to tell myself, even though I say I used to remember a time when that wouldn't just knock you out, but I can't. I just have to say now it's a transition move. I just have to understand that now.
I was in the building, Liam, Bob. I was in the building when Jake the Snake hit Ricky the Dragon.
Yes,
with that DDT.
There you go.
On the floor. And my God, 14-year-old me thought Ricky the Dragon Steamboat had died.
I thought he was dead. I was a kid. I thought he was
there.
Dead. Yeah.
I heard the slap.
Yeah.
I heard his head hit the ground.
Yeah.
My father got me great seats that night. And I'm like, oh my God, he's dead. And Jake the Snake pulled him in the ring, put the snake on him. The DDT was death.
Yes.
DDT was death back then.
Yeah. Times change. Yay or nay? TV events, I'm talking to you, SmackDown and Raw, with an average of 5.4 instances of run-ins or outside interference or distractions from outside the ring on every episode. I have seen entire shows where somebody else got involved in the match that wasn't in the match. Boy, is this being overused. It's so overused. And fans don't even get riled up about it. Like, oh, shoot, the match is over. That's how they should be thinking about it. Who had a great match the other day? Who was it? Was it? Oh gosh, it was just the other day.
It was Sheamus versus.
Yes.
Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser.
Right.
If you look at it from a storyline perspective, yes, you do need run-ins sometimes. We understand that. We've been there. We get that. When you start, and it keeps going back to everything we were talking about earlier. If you do something in abundance, it doesn't mean as much, because there's the old adage that you'll see the fans start to look at the rampway because they know they're thinking, okay, X and Y happened. What's Z? Oh, this guy's going to come down. It's happened with multiple people. They know, the fans are conditioned to know when a certain person is going to come down, and it's relevant to that storyline. So, oh, here comes CM Punk. He's about to come, or whatever. It's fine if you're doing it sparingly to advance a story. However, if you're using it every show, that becomes a huge issue for me.
Exactly.
Personally.
And WWE is crazy with it these days.
Yes.
As much as I love to disagree with Liam, he's 100% right here.
No, he's on the money. Old stuff, 80s. Ready?
Yep.
I'm ready.
The hilariously inept Dungeon of Doom in WCW. Kevin Sullivan, King Curtis, Kamal the Avalanche, the Zodiac. Or was it Brutus Beefcake? Or was it the Booty Man? Or was it the Man with No Name? Or was it Dizzy Hogan? Or was it Big Brother Booty? Or was it Brother Brutai? Or was it the Disciple? Anyway, the Dungeon of Doom, yay or nay?
Liam,
why are we even asking
I
this? About this one? Nay, obviously.
Oh, God, yeah.
Obviously. But I think Kevin Sullivan had given a reason for this.
Yeah.
I don't, Anthony, maybe you know, but I know there was a reason he gave to why this happened.
I've talked to Kevin Sullivan personally before his untimely death. Let me ask you this, Bob and Liam. Let me ask you this. Would you like the Dungeon of Doom spread out around the card or one segment?
One segment.
One segment. Kevin Sullivan understood that this was garbage. He understood that this was not good.
Mm.
So he decided, okay, I'm going to put this all in one shot. Let me do what I got to do so we can go on with the show.
Mm.
So, because Hulk Hogan loved having the Dungeon of Doom around, because those were guys he could beat. Those were guys he could, have his matches with. If you spread out Haku and the Barbarian, and then the Booty Man, and then whoever, the shows would have completely sucked. But if you do one segment with the Dungeon of Doom, it made it bearable.
There is another side to that, though. For me, I understand the reasoning. However, did you have to make it so goddamn hokey?
Yeah, it was cartoony. It was a cartoon version of what he did in Florida.
But listen, having talked to Kevin Sullivan, that is what Hulk Hogan wanted.
Right.
I understand
And as the booker,
mm-hmm.
Kevin Sullivan understood he had to acquiesce to his top star.
Sure.
So without the Dungeon of Doom, there is no Hulk Hogan. Without Hulk Hogan, there is no Nitro. Without Nitro, there is TL Hopper.
Yeah, wow. And holy smoke.
Tony Anthony. Dirty White Boy.
But what I'm saying is, Kevin Sullivan did what he had to do.
Sure.
Kevin Sullivan did what he had to do at the time to make Hulk Hogan happy.
Mm-hmm.
And if Hulk Hogan wasn't happy, guess what? Hulk Hogan wasn't going to be on the show.
Yeah, and I mean, there is the fact that Hulk was the catalyst for making them bigger. We all understand that. If Bischoff had not signed him and Macho Man and on, they wouldn't have been in the position they were in. But you also have to realize they were making it almost worse than WWF was at the time with the occupational gimmicks. And when you think about that, it's like, okay, they weren't really doing anything that different as far as that Dungeon of Doom goes.
At those times, you had Hulk Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, in 2024, we know what Hulk Hogan is.
Sure.
But in 1995 or 1994, when he came in, they had to make him happy.
Yeah.
And making him happy dealt with, first of all, Ric Flair.
Sure.
And then once Flair was out of the picture, you had to do Dungeon of Doom. You had to do it.
Do you want to hear a funny story? I was with WCW magazine when Face Hogan was in WCW. Mm-hmm. And I'm watching Nitro one night, and I believe it was Hogan and whoever Beefcake was at the time versus
Booty
Kevin
Man.
Sullivan and
Earthquake or Shark.
no, it was, believe it or not, it was Arn Anderson for whatever reason.
Oh, interesting.
And it was slow and plotting, and we'd seen it before. And I called Colin Bowman. I said, I can't be on your magazine anymore. This sucks. I'm serious. This really happened.
That's great.
This really happened. I said, this is going nowhere. It's a retread. It's ridiculous. I have no interest in it. Thanks, but no thanks. I literally said that to my publisher
I just
and quit.
That's the catalyst. It's like, I'm done.
I'm telling you, I swear to you, this is a true story.
Incredible.
Now, a few weeks later, here comes Razor Ramon into WCW.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I go, boy, Bob, you're the king of timing, man. You are the king of timing, Jack.
Weeks and you would have been fine.
But do you know, about 2 months later, Colin calls me, goes, come on back. You're a good writer. Come back and work with us again. And I did. But at the onset, I didn't see that coming at all. I didn't see any creativity. And the fact that, when Ramon, I keep calling him Ramon, when Scott Hall shows up, who saw that coming? And the way it was done, it was an entirely different tone than what WCW was at that point.
It was in a match that nobody cared about. I think it was
Mike Enos versus the Mauler.
Steve Dahl or something?
Mike Enos was in the ring. I forget who was up against, maybe Steve.
Yeah.
No, Mike Enos versus Steve Dahl.
Yeah.
Okay.
How the hell do I?
I don't know why I remember that.
Yeah,
but it was a nothing
I thought he
match.
just walked into the ring, though.
He did. He came down from the stands, walked into the ring, and they're kind of both of them are looking at each other like, "What the hell do I do?" And then I think Robert Parker was managing one of them, and he said, "Okay, let's get out of the ring. Let's let him do his promo." So and I remember watching it, going, "Huh, what's this? This is interesting,
different."
Yeah,
and that led to the Monday Night Wars.
It felt insider,
very,
and the fans picked up on it.
Mm-hmm.
The fans ate it up like a side of McDonald's French fries, man. I'm telling you, that was a big moment in wrestling history right there. It really was.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Are we ready? Okay, I'm going to do a bunch of quickies here. Let's go quick because we're going almost an hour. I've got 2 more pages of stuff here. If I can get to them.
For it.
Here we go.
3 hours. Let's go.
I'm here all night.
I'm going to make a statement. You guys say yay or nay. Mil Mascaras was the greatest masked wrestler. Yay or nay?
Nay.
Who was?
Nay. El Santo was already above him. And if we're really getting granular, I would say Mysterio, but El Santo is right neck and neck with Mysterio.
I cannot believe I'm agreeing with Liam, but Rey Mysterio, the number 1 guy, El Santo, number 2.
Yeah.
Look, I saw Mil Mascaras live, and it was great, whatever. 9-year-old me was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it." Once I saw him from an educated standpoint, he was nothing.
He's a product of his time. Of his time. Yeah.
No,
All right, here's another one. Sid Vicious, yay or nay? Sid Vicious was the most powerful wrestler of all time.
Nay.
Who was?
I don't know. I don't know about that. Give me
just
a
power,
second.
Just plain power.
I give it to Vader.
Power. What's that?
Big Van Vader, 100%.
Oh my God, Liam, this is crazy. I'm agreeing with you again. Listen, Sid Vicious is a legend, but once that damn bell rang, there was nothing to him.
Yeah.
Big Van Vader, God, the matches he had in WCW as champion. Oh, yep.
Excellent.
So nay to that one.
Yay or nay, from a purely athletic perspective, Bobby Eaton was the greatest wrestler of all time. Yay or nay?
From a what perspective?
Purely athletic perspective.
In a world where Kurt Angle exists, I'll say nay, but goddamn, Bobby was amazing.
Yes, he was. He was.
He was excellent. He is definitely, I would say, in the top 5, to not use a cliche, but he was not Bret Hart.
Yeah.
To me. To me.
I don't know why, but even though he was slow as molasses, I consider Harley Race to be athletic.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Almighty, yes.
For sure.
Harley Race.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just me though.
I was just at Hall of Fame up in Albany, and there was a bunch of wrestlers there, and Harley Race's son Justin was there, and a man, they all said he was the greatest wrestler of all time.
Sure. I don't listen. I'm sure Jim Cornette might listen to this. I don't want him to disrespect us, but I love Bobby Eaton to death. But as far as an athlete, I put him behind the Harley Races, the Ric Flairs, and the Kurt Angles. And by the way, being top 5 is not disrespect.
No way. And you know what? Rick Steamboat kind of just be as an athlete, good gravy.
Yep. It's situational to where you grow up to, because I was not because Bret Hart was my guy. In
That's a good choice.
Northeast.
Yeah.
But Bobby Eaton, as I've watched him, in the years since then, incredible. He's like Barry Windham for me, like him, Barry Windham, all those guys, Harley Race. Yeah, excellent.
Bob and Liam, I made my mommy and daddy buy me Super Bowl 91 so I could watch Bobby Eaton versus Arn Anderson.
There you go.
They bought it for you?
Yeah.
You had good parents.
Nobody was buying them then.
Listen, they're still alive. I love my parents. I'm sure they're not listening to this, but Mom and Dad were the best.
No, I had to pony up for my pay-per-views. Anyway, okay, here we go. Upset time. We're going to talk about upsets.
All right.
The Iron Sheik beating Bob Backlund was the greatest upset in WWF history. Yay or nay?
Can I start, Liam?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yay. Nobody else.
Nobody saw it coming.
Nobody saw it coming, and nobody could have dropped the title of Hogan.
I'm inclined to agree. But with a caveat is that nobody knew what this would have caused later.
Okay, but Liam, how old are you?
I'm 46.
Okay, so you're a little bit younger than me, but
God,
still,
such a tadpole. My God.
were you around? Were you around for the Iran hostage situation?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Bob and Liam: if the masked superstar who was feuding with Bob Backlund at the time,
Right?
if the masked superstar had beaten Bob Backlund, would Hogan's victory have meant as much?
No, because and this is why I say with the caveat is that yes, and of course because of the war and everything going on at the time, this was a huge deal. Yes, okay, you're gonna take an extreme heel like the Iron Sheik and get him over the All-American Boy. We understand that. However, did anybody know? Nobody knew at the time that Hogan was going to take the title from Sheik.
No,
and
we did not.
Nobody knew the implications of where that would take the industry after. So we can say yes, it was a great decision, but like, can you see in the future? No, we couldn't.
But bear in mind, when Sheik won the title, Vince McMahon Jr., and I say Jr. just because I know I hate the word Jr., but he knew Hogan was coming in.
Yes.
And my God, I remember what was I, 9, 10 years old? I turned into championship wrestling that day, and Bob Backlund had been defeated. My heart sank, much like I was when I got laid off a few months ago. But but when they said that Bob Backlund had lost to the Sheik, my heart sank and I almost cried.
And let me take this small picture. Or you guys are looking big picture. I'm just looking at a small picture. At the time, Backlund already whooped the Sheik a bunch of times up and down the circuit.
Yep.
And during that time, all right, they were running together, and Backlund was whipping him everywhere. So the fact that they went to the Garden and that Backlund lost the way he did, I thought it was everybody fell off the chairs at the time.
Yeah. We didn't know that.
Yeah, that's true.
All I knew was championship wrestling week to week, and Sheik had injured. Oh my God, the Iron Sheik had injured the great Bob Backlund's neck. And we were like, oh my God, this is horrible. And then a week later, he's the new champion.
And just quickly, not to disparage anything, but we all knew at the time, I was little, but I've seen since, but everybody knew that Bob Backlund was getting long in the tooth at that point, and
of course,
not as over as he was, and people were kind of like, oh, okay, we've seen enough. And yes, when they bring the Iron Sheik, that's what was needed. Something, shake it up. Vince Jr. had an idea, shake it up, and it paid off tenfold.
Yes, it did. All right, let's go to the NWA. Same question with two different guys. Ready?
Yes.
Greatest title upset in NWA history. Yay or nay? Ronnie Garvin beats Ric Flair for the championship.
Jeez.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
100%.
Who saw that coming?
Nobody.
And I love Ronnie Garvin as a regional, a national champion, a TV champion. But when he won the title, it was like, okay, great, good for him, but
well, you got to look at the time too. Starrcade '87 was when he dropped the belt, and Flair was in his element at the time. You couldn't get much better than him at the time, and Ronnie Garvin, maybe they were just doing it to say, you know what, Flair can lose it every once in a while, and let's let the fans digest that. Maybe.
Bob, you were there, right?
There were.
You were at PWI.
At what point?
87? September 87?
Oh no, that was just a few months before I started at PWI. Okay. Just a few months.
What I have heard, I could be wrong, and I'm a big nay on Ronnie Garvin. I heard that Ronnie Garvin the title was put on him so that Flair could win it at the pay-per-view.
It was transitional.
That was the whole reason. They wanted Flair to win the title at the pay-per-view.
I would certainly believe that from a business perspective. Absolutely. Sure. I think that's logical almost, you know? It seems plausible to me. Matches. Yay or nay? Indian strap matches.
Nay.
Nay. Never saw a good one.
I would say it would have to be used incredibly sparingly.
No,
so I will say nay.
They were always disappointing. You're expecting all this violence, and it never. I saw Strongbow beat Baron Vareshki in Albany once by wrapping the strap around the ring post so he couldn't get back in the ring. It lasted 4 minutes. We all went home disgusted.
Do you know what's a good alternate to that? And it's a little more new school, but Steve Austin against Savio Vega in WWF.
Okay.
Caribbean strap match. Those were great.
Okay, if you're using the strap as just a weapon.
Yeah.
Yes. I hate the whole touching the ring post 4 times.
It's hit or miss. You can work it well, but you already know once you hit that third one, I'm going to jerk it away from you, and then we start over. Yeah, we get that, but it can be convincing, but it's very sparingly.
Yep.
For me.
Yay or nay? Picture-in-picture in current wrestling shows when they go to a break.
Freaking nay.
Yeah, you know nothing's happening there. Also, we'll take it a step further. Yay or nay, matches interrupted by commercials in the first place. It was never that way. Even into the 80s, they didn't run commercials in the middle of a match.
Little inside baseball.
Ooh.
Yeah. I cover AEW for PWInsider.com.
Right.
I'm sure you've read my award-winning write-ups. As soon as they go to picture-in-picture, I refresh my drink. I maybe have another smoke. Because I know nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Nothing ever happens, and here's the thing that pisses me off. Here's the thing that completely pisses me off. Ready? Okay, so babyface versus heel. The babyface kicks ass, blah, blah, blah. They go to commercial. Guess what happens for the 5 minutes in commercial? The heel gets his heat.
Yeah.
And when they come back, the babyface comes back and gets his win. The heel looks like a complete eunuch.
It's formulaic.
Yes,
it always happens that way.
Oh, even the announcers, they're both down on the floor. Who will survive this epic clash? And then here's an ad for Simonize or whatever it is. It's just
I've been to enough Monday Night Raw and SmackDown tapings to know that when they go to the floor, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah,
so we're not going to miss anything important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely,
it's true. Well, we have talked for 1 hour and 4 minutes, guys.
Let's keep going, baby.
You want to keep going?
4 hours. Here we go. Let's do it.
All right.
You
first 4 hour outdated wrestling hour.
For everybody listening, get that hot toddy going at home. Get
Bob,
that tea ready. You're going to need it.
2 more pages to go. Let's go. I
had 2 pages to go. Let's see here. Paying for pay-per-views in 2024.
Nay. I haven't. I'll probably have the government knocking at my door in a second.
Uh-oh.
But
I know what he's going to say.
I haven't paid for one in a long time. I get it as far as a streaming model. And when you consider the fact that people were paying $40 maybe for the bragging rights pay-per-view, nobody wants to watch that. No offense to anybody, but nobody wants to watch that.
I did.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm my condolences. But the fact that you can take it now, and it's a totally different model now. Pay-per-view is dying. And we all know that. But when you look at, okay, I've got a streaming app, and I'm paying $10 a month for it. The companies that are doing the streaming are making a boatload of money. I can imagine how much Netflix made on the Tyson. Incredible, right? Yep. But you have to think, they're making their money, but they're doing it on the fact that, hey, look, it's only $10. What are you going to do? Oh, I've got to get that. And then you multiply that, and there you go. The pay-per-view industry is dying, and if it's not close to dead, and we understand that time moves forward and streaming is the new way to go. Maybe not everybody appreciates that, but that's the way it is.
I like streaming only because it looks really good. If you have the right equipment and a good connection,
right.
it's astoundingly beautiful when it's good.
Mm-hmm. Right now, AEW is the only one that is doing pure pay-per-view.
Right.
I mean, MLW, TNA, WWE.
Wait a minute. You're not talking about the NWA pay-per-views?
Nobody is. Nobody is, Bob.
I mean, Baron Von Storm is going to take on...
can we talk
Johnny
about Baron
McGee? Baron Von Storm.
I used to love Tim Storm.
Me too.
We all did. Yeah.
There was no backstory. He just shows up one day with his eyes rolled back in his head and holding his hand for a claw hold. And I'm like, what happened? It's over. It's so over. It's so finished.
Maybe I can make a comparison here. Is that, you know how everybody goes on about how Tony Khan, the billionaire, and he can just waste money on whatever he wants to do? Nobody's putting Billy Corgan in that category.
No,
he's a millionaire. He's not a billionaire, but it's his money, and he's doing whatever he wants.
I know, but I think I have the best line about this. If Tony Khan is a money mark, that makes Billy Corgan a money order mark.
That's good.
Because I was rooting so hard, Billy. Dude.
We all were.
Me too.
Dude.
All their pay-per-views prior to the pandemic,
they had it going on. People were talking about it. Now they run special events and weekly shows, and even what's left of the wrestling press doesn't even cover it.
Yep.
No.
I used to cover Power for PW Insider every single week.
Mm-hmm.
I just couldn't do it anymore because it wasn't worth my time.
Yeah.
And that's the worst thing. They were wasting my time.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the midget getting, I shouldn't say the word midget in 2024, but the small wrestler being hit as your opener of your program. Being hit in the nether region, shall we say. There's just no excuse. You know what? It's thumbing your nose at everybody who ever loved wrestling. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And I love all wrestling, but that was just garbage.
So what? So you actually tuned in after I told you not to?
Yes, because it was sort of like, when people say don't think of elephants, I think of elephants. When you said don't tune in the NWA, I tuned in just for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I just
Oh, Ian, it was just later on. There's a music video featuring one of the tag teams, Southern guys, and there's a women's match that was incomprehensible, and it was just it's like, hey, gang, you've got boots. Let's put on a wrestling show. I mean,
Corey. I say Corey because my partner on PW Insider is Corey Strode. Bob, stop reminding me of this.
I know, it's sad. Yeah. It really is.
Yeah. Yes.
Yay or nay, professional wrestling in 2035?
Oh, jeez.
Yay. Liam, let me do my spiel.
Go ahead.
I say yay because I've been a sickened fan since 1981, Bob and Liam, and I cannot stop.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever, I hate to say this, but whatever they give me, I will sop up as a fan. And I blame Bob Smith for this because they say like, hey, the author of my childhood, the songs of my childhood, the author of my childhood was Bob frickin' Smith and Bill Apter. So I blame you. I blame you for keeping my passion alive.
I want to thank you for putting bologna on my table. Seriously, there's a cause and effect with everything that goes on in life. You people who bought the magazines put food on my table.
What?
And I found out later in my run there, I was talking to a wrestler. He wasn't a big star, but he was an active professional wrestler. He was, And I found out I made more at PWI than he made wrestling as a salary, as a weekly salary.
That makes sense.
So
But
I was
Bob-
like, wow, I'm just this schlubby guy sitting on my duff writing about you guys. You should be making more than I am. But that's the way it was.
But Bob, guys like you are what made us fans. Liam, do you agree?
Absolutely. I've
Yeah.
said this before, yeah. And
It's
I know, you know, I can look at it like, what was the year you said, Bob?
What year?
2050 or something?
35.
35. Okay, well, even better. I'm gonna say it's still gonna be going, but at this point, it's starting to pass me by. I'm not saying I won't be looking into it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying there won't be a match here and there that will grab my attention, but it's not the psychology that I grew up on. It is not.
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, and it's just in general, and it's not an age thing. It's nothing like that. People can say that about sports or baseball or hockey or whatever, but it's not resonating with me the same it did then, because it's totally changed now.
It's person to person, because
Sure.
you said you're 47 years old.
6, yeah,
46. I'm 52. I have never once wavered in my fandom.
And that's cool.
I have the sickness.
Sure, but I dipped out as I went through my 20s and 30s and all that. I dipped out, dipped back in for a little bit, dipped out, and I've got my ear to the ground right now. The podcast I was on helped me with that, and Bob's got his fist up like he's ready to punch me.
You told your ages, you young punks.
You know, Bob. Right now, I know this. I know this is.
Let me just give my answer to that, to the year nay on this one. I do believe wrestling will survive, but it will fade when the Jetson cars are finally introduced by Elon Musk Jr.
I will never stop loving pro wrestling. I will never, ever, ever stop.
I thought that would get a bigger laugh. The Jetson cars, right? You know, the one that fly, the flying cars.
Yeah, of course. No, and I get where Anthony's coming from, and I'll always love it. But at the same time, is it gonna feel the same to me? No, because and you'll have people that will be saying to you when they're in their 30s, "Oh, Will Ospreay, man, he was the greatest I've ever seen."
It's my marriage for the last 30 years has been wonderful, but wrestling has been my mistress. So
yeah, it's a good way to put it.
Sometimes it's great. Oh my goodness, sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's not so great, but I just cannot give it up.
Yeah, it's the same with me.
I can't give it up fully, and I never will. But
I mean, people around me going, "You're still watching this stuff? You're not working in it?" I'm like,
by the way, my wife just walked in as soon as I said the word mistress. So I have a lot to explain later.
Oh gosh,
yeah.
Hey, Christmas is coming. Yay or nay? Bob Smith as a wrestling promoter.
I would say yay. Now, if you've got an inordinate amount of money...
No, let's back it up. Bob Smith is a booker.
I would say yay.
Booker,
and
yay.
I will take
Promoter,
that on a per show basis.
Yeah, I'm not good enough with money to be a promoter. I would let the money people do that. But I would love to... I always wanted to write. I always wanted to be involved with WWE. I never got hired. Let me tell you something. I know people there, and I still can't get my little finger there. Now I'm too old. Who's hiring a guy my age?
But you've seen it all, and you know it all.
Yeah, but here's the problem. Yes, I've seen it all. They want people that can change it into... Remember, they hire TV writers now, not wrestling people.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And Tony Khan apparently lets his wrestlers book their own stuff. So those are sort of wrestling people, but although short, they're short.
You're asking us as a booker.
Right.
You're asking us as a booker. I say yay.
Yeah.
TV writer, nay. But as far as somebody who's been in the business for God almighty.
Yeah, it's crazy.
80s, 90s. We're talking 5 different decades. So yes, I would, if I win the Mega Millions tomorrow.
We'll start a promotion,
and I start, Bob Smith will be on my team. Not you, Liam, because you're a jerk.
I'm a bum. I get it.
Just
I'm
kidding.
a bum Canuck. Yeah. I would think that if you can really think about it, and I've thought about this before. People said to me, "Oh, well, could you book it better?" And you know what? I think maybe in certain instances, maybe I can book something better. I don't think everybody that books gets the respect they deserve because you have to think outside the box. You have to think down the road. You have to put all the little pieces into the puzzle. And if you don't, people will crap on you. They'll crap on you regardless.
But,
right, exactly.
But you really have to encompass everything that would make you think, I have this all wrapped up. I know the beginning, the middle, the end. And it's not to say that people can't do that, but, start, in the bottom, start giving ideas. If those ideas start to flourish, you get moved up a little bit.
But
and what have you?
Here's my philosophy on being a booker in 2024, if given the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
There is always, I hate the words storyline, story arc. Why does everything have to be dragged out? Why not put two competitive people in the ring together and let them go and make the story in the ring like they did for 50 years?
Yeah.
Listen, Bob. Listen, every single week, myself and Corey Straw and Peter Beer Insider hash this out. You have to have story. The bell-to-bell stuff is great. Oh my God, I love a good match.
Mm-hmm.
But if every single week and every single month there's just nothing but 5-star match after 5-star match after 5-star match, it gets boring.
But there's ways around that, my friend.
Sure.
I'm convinced. Use the personality of the wrestlers. Most wrestlers become stars.
Figured out yet.
Most wrestlers become stars. They've been given a character, and their real self seeps out. Steve Austin, all these guys, Jake the Snake Roberts. They were those people. The ones who really became stars based on their personalities had a lot of themselves in their characters.
Of course.
Sure. And you got to have the ability to see that in who you're working with. And I would exploit that. I just think wrestling needs to calm down a little bit. Everything is blaring and big. Well, and we've reached a point in pro wrestling where you just don't pin your opponent. You have to incapacitate him to the point of unconsciousness in every match.
Bob, the problem is it's past the point of no return.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree. I don't agree. I think fans can be conditioned.
And that's fine, but you have to realize where the industry is at now. Let's take WWE, for example. They just keep hitting record after record after record. The only place you can go is down. If you keep trying to, eclipse that, what does it ever mean? I don't know.
You make a good point, but I always think back to the NWA turning into WCW and then thinking they were competitors to the WWF. Now, here's the problem with that. If the old school NWA style of hard-hitting, Southern-based action stayed as it was, I insist it may have never surpassed the WWF, but they would have been viable as an alternative to it. The fact that they were the dog chasing the car trying to be the WWE was never going to work in a million years.
No.
Ric Flair has always said that if Crockett had kept his wrestling to the Carolinas and Georgia and maybe West Virginia, they'd still be in business.
I agree.
Yeah.
The thing is,
that's all those people wanted to see. That's all I wanted from the alternative. That's all I wanted to see.
Right.
But
exactly.
that's a problem trying to make, say, if you look at it, say in hockey terms, trying to make the AHL the same as the NHL. It's never going to happen. You can do things that will make you set you apart. It's maybe not the best example, but you can set yourself apart in certain ways. But it's like, are you ever going to be the Kings?
I look back at something that Jerry Jaffe told me. Jerry Jaffe was Dr. Jerry Graham Jr. I had him on the show about 6 months ago, I think, at this point.
I remember that.
And he said they stayed in their own little territory and drew enough to actually make money. And when they decided to stop because the big two were kind of encroaching on Indianapolis and stuff like that, they simply said they didn't go out of business. They quit. No. There was a difference. And they had saved their money, and everybody got a bag of money out the door. Everybody thought that was a low-end minor league promotion, but they made money.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Memphis will be the biggest example right there.
Memphis is a great example, man.
Yeah.
They made money.
Yeah.
All those years, up until the part when the USWA ceased to be. And then
last friendly territory.
Yeah.
All those guys bitched about Jerry Jarrett's payouts, but God, they were there forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, it was the prelim guys that bitched about it, right? And rightfully so. I mean, but Jerry Lawler never bitched about it.
No, of course not.
But I hope he's doing well. I'm just going to say this out loud. Jerry, I hope you're feeling well, man. I haven't seen him in so long. I got to get a hold of him.
Jerry?
Jerry Lawler, yeah.
Oh, I said Jerry Jarrett.
Jerry left us, unfortunately. But, and there's another thing is too. It's like they always say, Tony Khan needs a booker. Who's that going to be? Seriously.
Oh, yeah.
Jerry Jarrett's dead. Jerry Jarrett's dead. Kevin Sullivan's dead. Jim Cornette wants nothing to do with the business. You think Bully Ray?
Imagine if Jim Cornette was ever free from his NDA, the book he could write.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, yeah, that's the problem with the NDA is he can't talk about it. But man, I can't imagine. I was thinking about that the one day. I was like, imagine the conversation he had with Tony Khan. Can you imagine what was talked about and how much he flipped out and said, I can't be a part of this?
That's why I admire him so much. Even going back to the NWA days, Jim Cornette would not do something if he thought it was going to stink. He would walk away from the money. He could have done clown shows and bad tag teams and everything else. He wouldn't do it.
Nope.
Yeah.
I love that. That's integrity to the max. He walked away from lucrative deals because the product was lousy.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's integrity right there, man. Jim, a tip of the cap from a really old guy.
We love you, Jim.
Yeah. On that note, I think we'll bring this shebang. You guys have fun or what?
You get more for us? Because I'm loving this. I'm ready for another 2 hours.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm old and I get tired. My corns and my bunions are starting to ache, and
he's been up since 3 a.m.
My bulborygmus is flaring up, and my back hurts, my knees hurt, my head hurts, and my face is killing everybody.
And Bob and Liam, this was amazing. Thank you for having us on. Appreciate it, Bob.
Listen, I'm not letting you go just yet. I want you guys to hype yourselves. I want to have a Liam start. Liam, how can people find you and your vast skills?
Why would they want to?
Why not?
The question. I don't know. I'm not doing anything wrestling related right now, so that means 98% of the people just kind of tuned away until Anthony talks. I'm on I guess it's Linktree. Look for Liam Savage. I guess the only kind of wrestling related thing right now is I have a YouTube going and I do put up wrestling content on there, some rare stuff. I think the last thing I put up was Lance Storm on TSN's Off the Record. So there you go. There's a little bit of rare stuff right there.
Wow.
So yeah, look for me there. If you want to subscribe to my channel, I would very much appreciate it. I'm rebuilding it since the last one got taken off for putting Japanese wrestling content on there that wasn't allowed. And I was copyright striked immediately, and that's gone. But anyways, let's meet up on there and
they can find you on Facebook too, right?
See Facebook, all that crap, all the social media crap you can find on there, I guess. I don't know, whatever.
Liam, we love you. We love you, Liam.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Speak for yourself, Pires.
Wow. Okay. Jeez, I thought we were friends here. I guess. What's going on?
I come out in defense of Liam, and Bob craps all over him.
I am being my usual goofy self. I have had Liam on the show 5 times because I like having him on the show.
I think this is actually my 7th appearance. But
7?
I think I'm the leader now.
Oh, that's right, because I'm not counting the other times you did group chats.
Oh, well,
So
Sure am.
you're like a regular. You're like, this is like laughing, only not as funny.
Yeah, and I'm the guy with like nothing going on right now, and you still have me on. What's going on with that,
dude? You say you have nothing going on. I'm jealous, man. I'm so busy. I asked for it. But I am so busy to the point of being a blithering idiot by midnight every night. I'm lost. Anthony, tell us what you is up to, sir.
Oh, God, you picked the wrong time to ask me what I'm up to. I am currently between jobs, but this is only audio, not visual, but Santa Claus has come to town. So if anybody wants a free visit from Santa Claus or a video message from Santa Claus, go to @the Anthony Pires on X, Anthony Pires, ANTHONY space PIRES on Facebook. Send me a DM. I will be glad to send you a Santa Claus message. And Bob, thank you for giving me the opportunity today. I love this. Thank you.
Well, how about your wrestling stuff, dude?
Oh God, yes. Myself and the immortal Corey Strode, who has been on the Entertainment Hour, do the AEW post show party every Wednesday about midnight. Once it goes on demand, we break down the entire AEW Dynamite show. He and I do the pay-per-view recaps, which is sometimes easier said than done.
Yes.
Listen, I'm the luckiest bastard that ever lived, so that's all I got.
The AEW post show party, is that a Chuck E. Cheese?
No, given how
that's too much praise. Come on.
Given how we do the show, it should be a Chuck E. Cheese.
I thought that was a good one. I don't know. Jeez.
As soon as the show's over, he and I talk and we break it down. I am the man about town, the man that breaks it all down while he drinks a Crown Royal.
Yes, he has been imbibing the entire time, and that's the only way I could get him to stay on. Is I shipped him a bottle or two on the QT. So
Corey was on the Entertainment Hour. And
yes, he was.
He loved hanging out with you. He cannot wait to go back out with you again. So
I got such nice notices over the comic book show.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm loving doing the Entertainment Hour. B movies. I don't know if you heard any of these, Liam. B movies, comic books, rock bands.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff that I want to talk about, but I can't do it here.
Last week, Broadway, or 2 weeks ago, Broadway.
Yeah. I'm holding that one over for a third week. It's doing so well, so I'm leaving it up there. Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah. Well, Adam Bertho is almost like having a Broadway actor on my show. He's like just that close to it. So I've had a blast, and I don't want to overdo that show because I will die. I am so overworked. Bitch. I got a top 50 podcast and I'm complaining, right? Jesus.
I think I speak for me and Liam saying, Bob, thank you for having us. Thank you for just being you, because we love this show. The reason we are here is because we just love you so much.
But here's the deal. This is the last show before Christmas, and I do want to say this sincerely with no joke in my voice. The best part of doing this podcast is the people I have met. I am telling you guys. You, Liam, you, Anthony, so many of the others, me getting my courage up to speak to a Brian Solomon or call a Dave Drayson or a Terry Sullivan or Steve Kern or any of the people who've been on the show this year. Ian Douglas just floored me. I mean, and it's different. I consider you guys all my friends now. It's like
absolutely.
It's like something happens when you have this joined interest in a topic. And when you say something that someone else agrees with, your head kind of spins and you become friendly. And it's worked like gangbusters.
My mind is blown that I'm friends with Bob Smith. My mind is blown that the guy that ran Pro Wrestling Illustrated is my friend.
A managing editor. You know what a managing editor does?
You manage the editing.
No. A managing editor does.
He kicks ass.
No, he does everything while everybody else takes the credit. While the publisher and the editor-in-chief get all the credit, the managing editor does all the grunt shit.
But I remember your name. I remember your name so well.
Running copy.
I remember.
I used to run copy. I used to pull ads. I used to do all the stuff that you don't see in the magazine business, the grunny stuff. And I was a managing editor for a bunch of national magazines after that. The reason managing editors always stay employed is because they do all the stuff nobody else wants to do. That's the truth.
Bill Apter may have been the writer of my childhood. You were the editor of my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say I ever went through the trials and tribulations that you did when I was writing for a magazine. I was not the editor, but I totally respect the fact that you went through all that and the fact that you gave back to us. Nobody read anything I wrote, I don't think. It was music stuff, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as being on the newsstand and all that, you were right there, and you were there for us.
I had a leg up because I would already been a journalist before I started. I think I stopped being a journalist if those kayfabe articles. Yeah. The hidden torment that drives Tito Santana. That's come on. Right. So you kind of stop being a journalist, more of a creative writer when you get a job like that. But there were times when you had to put your news hat on to work for PWI, like the steroid scandals, other stuff that was happening, real stuff. Yeah. And I didn't expect that when I got the job there. I was supposed to go all fun and games. And the minute I walked in, all the crap hit the fan, and you had the steroid stuff, you had the Von Erich family problems, you had all that serious stuff going on.
Bob, we didn't know that, and you kept it kayfabe. You kept it fun. So
absolutely.
So I will always, not to kiss your butt, but I will always be thankful to you and the guys at the Western magazines for just keeping me a fan during my formative years.
But the best part of the job was, and I don't want to sound like a cornball, they were great guys. They were really great guys.
And that makes it better.
How nice was Matt Brock?
Matt Brock was nice unless it was 1 a.m. and he was out of money. and then he would hit you up for the most uke he could get, and he was not below sitting in an alley just drinking uke out of a paper bag. I'm telling you, he could put it back. We'll put it that way.
I subscribed just to read Matt Brock.
Matt Brock was my favorite, and Matt Brock was my favorite. We'll put it that way.
So
that should tell you something about Matt Brock. Yeah.
It's all good.
I'll say it now, Anthony. It was great talking to you.
Oh,
I really appreciate the time. Great. This was so fun.
We have to do this again soon. We have to do this again real soon, guys.
Let me ask you before I sign off. Are you guys up to another trivia contest? I don't want any more bloodshed now.
Well, you saw my name, so
the only bloodshed will come from Liam once I beat him again.
The blood, sweat, and tears that it takes me to get through a contest. Yes, that's the blood.
Folks, there you go. I can promise you in 2025, Liam the Trivia King Savage and Anthony Santa Claus Pires. Yes, they're coming back to the show, and we're going to have a 50-question marathon. We'll see if they can stay awake for the length of it and
50
get a valuable prize like a T-shirt or a pair of spats or something at the end. So this is going to be really exciting. With Anthony Pires and Liam Savage. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Bob.
A few goodbyes to you, but before we do, outdatedwrestlinghour.buzzsprout.com is where you go to hear all of our podcasts in one easy-to-find place. outdatedwrestlinghour.buzzsprout.com. Every episode will be there. I will never Patreon you for old episodes. Why? I don't feel like gouging people. That's why, damn it. So anyway, go over there and you'll check out all of our shows, every single doggone one of them, babies. And I hope you enjoy them. Also, you find out about our fan club. There's a little black box there. You can press it and just learn about the terms, about helping perpetuate this and the Outdated Entertainment Hour. We've got a Christmas show coming up. We hope you'll enjoy that one too. All about Christmas entertainment and a lot of other stuff. So it's outdatedwrestlinghour.buzzsprout.com. Find me on Facebook. Find me on Blue Sky. On Facebook, I'm the only Bob Smith singing with BB King. It makes it easy to find. On Blue Sky, I'm Outdated Bob. I'm also on X, Instagram, some other places, but mainly Facebook is my jam, Jackson. Speaking of jams, MRB, Funky Bone, that's our opening and closing theme. We play a little in the beginning and a whole lot at the end. If you enjoy it, you just let it play through. If you don't want to hear the music, just shut her off. There you go. That's it for now. We're going to sign off real quick because I've got a lot of work to do because we've got some real surprises between now and the end of the year, hopefully. And I'm going to work on them like as soon as I shut this thing off. How do you shut this thing off? Boy, I'm getting old. I am Bob Smith, the old PWI guy. Thanks for listening to the Outdated Wrestling Hour. We will be back 1 week from today. Well, wait a minute. That's not exactly right. Because if it's a week from today, if you're listening on a Tuesday, that's not when we come back, really, because we come out every Friday. I got to get an abacus. I'm not even going to attribute Ringo Starr this time. I'm just going to say peace and love, everybody. Please, peace and love.